Hey, this is Aaron at Power Popaholic, and I am talking to Steve Eggers, the one-man show who is the Nines, and he has a new album out that's amazing. It's Echoes of Futures Past, and the cool thing about this album is that it was using vintage equipment to create some of the sounds that sound like an alternate version of the '70s universe type of thing. Steve, how you doing?
Good chatting with you, Aaron.
Cool. So you said this record's like an alternate version of the '70s, recorded on vintage gear. Why was now the right time to make this kind of an album?
I think what it was I'm always kind of trying to find an angle around what's kind of inspiring for me, and I'd kind of hit a bit of a writer's block thing after 20, less writer's block, more kind of what I wanted to do after 2020,
Mhm.
and I think, quite honestly, I started messing around with the old equipment mostly just for myself to kind of see if this stimulated anything. Because sometimes when you're working on a lot of the new equipment now, as a lot of people who are musicians know, it's so easy to use it that you can fall into kind of the same habits. So I went down this road mostly just for myself. And then next thing you know, it was like, oh, I really like what I'm doing. I like the sound of it. And it kind of gave me the feeling of like the 70s or the 60s albums that were a little bit more lo-fi. That was
Cool.
inspiring. So for me,
So, like, did you were using a Tascam cassette, right, to work on
yeah,
some of this? I mean, did
yeah,
you get any of those happy accidents that they have with Speed and reverse
yeah,
playbacks and things like that?
yeah. That was like 90% of the feel. Literally I used on a lot of the songs, not every song, but some of the songs, a couple of microphones for drums.
Hmm.
And not even really like, I guess classic drum mics. I was using SM57s, SM58 for musos out there. They're just basic microphones. And and yeah, and I do think there's something to be said about finding new sounds that are organic, right? And with that kind of technology, you're forced to take chances and stuff just materializes from that.
Yeah, and Bill Majoros from the Foreign Films, he was doing a lot of your drum work, correct?
Yes, yeah, he had actually it was a great place where we did the drums. He had a house and it was like a basement that was like literally unchanged from the 1970s. Like he had a pinball machine. He had all this gear that he had as a kid, and he had all this stuff in place. And so it was literally like and the drum set and the whole
Right.
whole nine yards. So it was like, recording in your parents' basement when you're a kid. It was a lot of fun.
Cool. So how did that collaboration elevate the sound of the songs from how you first imagined them?
Well, a lot because
Mm,
the way Bill and I have done a few things together, and we both kind of come from a similar background, similar music tastes and things like that. So it's really easy to work with Bill. He's an excellent drummer. He plays guitar a lot. People may think of him as a guitar player, but he's an excellent drummer, and he's more of a songwriter kind of drummer. So I just say, hey, I didn't even have to talk to Bill much. He'd hear. Usually, I came in and I'd have like a good chunk of the tunes done without the drums, maybe
right.
a mock drum part, and he
Right.
just played off it. He played really loosely,
Nice.
and so yeah, it's all very organic working with him.
Are you working on his next project as well for himself?
Yeah, he's told me I haven't done anything recently. I did work on his last album. I played on a few tracks off his last one. He did
Right.
tell me, oh, there's something coming. Usually it's just like he'll send it to me and then I'll add whatever I do and then I send it back. Whereas when he's done stuff of mine, it's been a lot more. us kind of playing
Collaborating.
off each other
Yeah.
in the studio more.
Well, that's good. Well, you found a great partner in him because you definitely play off each other really well. There's a lot of songs in this album that I really liked. Summer's Never Been the Same is a great song.
Thank
I
you.
love the Jeff Lynne influence you've always had. It's always been an attractor for me as a big fan from
Same.
day one all the way through. Um, Hit the Ground Running. The one and Sailor Girl, of course, great song,
It's
and
going to
You
be the
Get
second
By as
single, I
well.
think, is Sailor Girl. The second video we're putting out probably at the end of next, is it this month? Probably at the end of this month. But yeah.
Cool. The one song I wanted to ask you about, and I asked you about this prior to our
Oh yeah.
interview, I was like, is the song "How Did We Get It All So Wrong"?
I
I mean,
remember a time when I could see the blue sky above. I could feel the warm sunshine on my shoulders and the faith in love.
And while there was sorrow, we
Sorrow,
could always see what's good and bad. We saw through the heavens that this planet was all.
how did we get it all so wrong? I mean, walk me through how that was done because it sounds like Peaches and Herb. It doesn't sound like
Yeah.
you at all.
Yeah.
And you told
Yeah.
me, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me, and I think I might do something just to prove that it's
I'm
me.
like, you must have used AI somewhere
I
along the
did,
way.
I
Okay.
did, I did a little. I did a little. I didn't completely. What it is I had a filter, a plugin, so it is 90% of this album is mostly tape, but then um, I had this tune, and I was actually going to do the song that you're referring to on make another album and do it all like Motown, soul Motown, because I love
Right.
that kind of music, and I played around with that on a couple of tracks over the years. But I really like the sound of this, and it kind of fit with the AM radio 1970s. Like you can't leave out, that kind of Motown sound, right?
Sure.
So no, what I did was I took I did the vocal parts, okay?
Right.
I sang the vocal part of the female uh, uh, in a falsetto. So I sang those parts
Right.
with the girl. I took it on tape and I sped it up and I did vibrato that would sound like that. And then I did have a little augmentation, but a lot of
Right.
that was just sped up. That was a bit old technology.
Right.
The guy's voice,
Yeah.
I used a plugin that was kind of like you could up the sound and the timbre of the voice of
Did you have
the.
to change the pitch on
No,
each
I
of
didn't
them?
have to
No.
change the pitch on the guy, but like so all the riffs you hear, that's me. I mean, if you played them side by side,
Right.
it is me doing all the vocal gymnastics or whatever, but um the timbre is an effect on the plugin effect that has this guy's voice. And so I kind of brought it up probably too high,
Right.
um but I listened to it at the end and I was like, you know what? It feels good to me. It sounds up the alley of what I wanted in my head. And I didn't want to get, other people to come in, and it didn't feel like it would work on this album
Right.
because it was
Right.
so hands-on. So I left it.
All right. No, well, it's pretty amazing because it almost sounds like a totally different group completely. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it, when I first started. But on the other hand, I've heard some artists. I mean, on YouTube now, Fernando Perdomo, who's a great guitarist,
Yeah,
has been experimenting with putting his songs into AI and saying having AI spit it back at him and
yeah,
seeing where AI makes the mistakes. Oh, I didn't make a key change here. It decided to add a key change or it changed the lyric or it did that. I think it's a good experimentation method as
yeah.
long as it doesn't take over a whole album. I think it's
No,
fine.
no, and I have a double-edged sword thing with AI in general, okay? But if you listen to this album, if you just listen to the tracks,
Hmm.
it's so opposite of AI. Like it's
Yeah.
probably the other direction. But I've also never been the type of guy who did was a purist on that because I've always used I'll use plugins, I'll use different things, I'll use old gear. I mix and match. Like
Hmm.
we did some videos. I did 2 or 3 videos where I did use some AI technology, but I'm not part of that also was because I wanted to do a lot of sound effects. I've always been interested in sound effects like car sounds and making my own sound effects.
Right.
So it's a means to an end. So I think if you use AI as a tool, but the bulk of what you're doing is your own stuff. You don't lose that human feel.
Right. No, I think that's a great approach. And as far as, getting a concept and all those effects in, I think you did a great job with Alejandro's Visions when you did that album a couple
Yep.
years ago. That because that had a whole, it wasn't just the songs, it was also the, sound effects behind it and in front, and that linked everything together. It was a great,
Yep.
are you going to do another concept album similar to that, you think?
Yeah, it's so funny. I was just thinking this because usually with me it's an obsession. So for this album, it's usually partly what I'm going through. So as an example, I'm a huge fan of old broadcasts from the 60s and 70s from radio broadcast, actual
Right.
radio broadcasts, and I collect them. So I have tons of these.
Oh,
So
I
part of that was I think my own ear was listening to these AM hits from the 60s and 70s on the original broadcasting, and I think the sound of those things, which are really just somebody taped it off the radio, I almost used as the aesthetic of the whole album. I wanted it to sound like you taped it off an AM radio.
right.
Whereas the new project I'm thinking of doing is I've got this thing going in my head. I don't know if it's going to come to fruition, but it's a French movie score. So if you think
Wow.
of
Cool.
Serge Gainsbourg and Jane Birkin and
Hey, yeah,
you know,
April, March.
yeah,
She's done that kind
exactly.
of stuff all the time, which is
Yeah. So if you're a film buff, it would be like, an old French film and stuff. I kind of have my head around that, and we'll see.
another thing I was going to ask, only as a fan, because I love the songs that you came up with this album so well, but the part that you love about it, as far as the production, making it sound like it was taped off of something, I think you did too good a job. I'm like saying, God, it would be great if he like remastered some of these so I have some more clarity and less of the fuzz that
Yeah.
was done for the texture in the background, which is, I understand why it was done, but I
Yeah.
love some of these melodies so nicely. I would love to hear them. So maybe if in the future
I
you do
might.
like something similar.
I might. It's funny because when we did our first album, that used to be what I used to get all the time was it would be so good if you had it more produced or it was a little bit more, you know. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's hard because that's the aesthetic. I mean, that's kind of what I was going for. So,
Right.
um, and I have a lot of other albums that are pretty produced up sounding, so I'll probably do the next one. It'll be more produced up.
So, I mean, well, that's cool because the my sort of follow up question would be, where do you see the Nines headed after this album? And is it more exploration of analog textures, or return to classic power pop, or something fans won't see coming, like this French soundtrack you're talking
Right.
about?
Well, well, okay. So, yeah, I mean, even Alejandro's Visions was just because I was really interested. I was watching a lot of musicals and so this is the way I generally go. Like I did one album that was called Night Surfer. That was all
Yep.
me garage. I was listening to a lot of 60s garage records. So then I do that. Alejandro would have been like I saw musicals from the 60s and I thought, "Oh, that's kind of cool. The 50s and 60s weren't just rock music. It was also
Right.
other stuff." So, yeah, I mean, I could do one thing that's I have in the back burner is I have an album that's a bunch of songs I recorded that sounds more like the Cars, like it's a little bit more, it's
Ooh,
produced up, it's more power pop,
nice.
um, and it keeps getting pushed off for other stuff I'm fixated for. So
Well, you have me banging the gavel. Get that thing out here.
Yeah, I'll do it for you. I'll next time I do it, I'll be thinking, Aaron, remember, Aaron said, don't get distracted. Stick to something. Because I have a bit of ADHD. So what happens with me is I get fixated and then
Right.
I'm like, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. So now what I'm going to be saying is, remember, Aaron said, do something that's crisp and clear.
Cool. So, Steve, one other question that I wanted to ask you is, growing up listening to the old radio, who is your favorite, DJ in Toronto back in the day?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, in my era, it would have been probably there's so many. In Toronto on rock radio, it could have been Roger Ashby or John Major, who sadly passed away, used to do the top 40 in Toronto. Um and then one other I would be remiss to mention, and a little less around top 40, is Carl Banas, who used to do the voice, ironically, I think he was the last surviving guy who did the voice of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know, that animated
Yeah,
thing. I think he plays the elf leader, and
really
so I got to give him credit because he made it big in the U.S. with that.
cool. Cool. Oh, well, thank you so much for the time, Steve. I appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Everyone, please pick up this album. Steve, tell me, where can we get,
Echoes of Past Future.
yeah,
It's on the easiest place to go now is the Bandcamp site. So it's I think it's www.bandcamp / echoes of
Echoes
past
of
future,
Future.
or the Nines. You'll
The
find us on there.
nines.bandcamp.com is good enough. You'll
You
you'll
got
see
it.
it.
You
It'll
got
just
it.
show up on the front there, which
Yep.
is fine.
Yep.
And yeah, and pick this up. I highly recommend this album. Hell, I highly recommend all of Steve's work, but I'm
Thank you.
always a sucker for new stuff that he comes out with. So no problems here. Thank you so much again, Steve. We will look forward to your next project.
Thanks, Aaron. Appreciate the time.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.